I'll be there whenever you need. What up? How are you, madam?
Hi, honey.
Look at you. Look at you.
How you doing?
The fresh beat face. I'm swell. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I came in from outside. I looked at the time. I was like, oh, it is hot. It is hot out
It's
there.
freaking hot. I know. I turned off my fan so we can get your live voice.
Same. I turned mine off.
I have all these church fans. I don't know if they do this in your Jewish community, but we have all these church fans. These are like when people die, they put their face on the fan and they pass.
We don't have fans.
Really? Well, I'm from the South, so every time you go to a church, there's always like fans there, and you just see these old black ladies like this. Woo, child. Woo, girl.
You know what it is? Not a lot of Jews are in the South, so I think that's how
What?
the fan.
There's a lot in Florida. That's where we met all the Jewish people when in Florida.
No. Florida's like that's like
That's your retirement home. That's
it's retirement. That's not really our South. That's like our that's like our extension of New York. It's like a hotter New York.
Hotter New York, yeah. Well, look, madam, whenever you're ready, this is just about being alone with your own thoughts.
Oh,
and
my
it's like
goodness.
if you were teaching a master class on life, it's from your perspective. So just imagine your great grandkids knowing that their grandmother said this in 2020.
Oh yeah, it's scary.
So whenever the time limit is whenever you're done, whatever you want, you know.
Oh, just talk.
Oh, I'm gonna guide you, but I mean, like, there's no limit. There's no limit to your life, you know. There's no limit to your life.
Beautiful. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Let's do this thing. Do it. Boom. All right, folks, welcome back to this podcast, One Man, One Tree, and your host. I'm your host, Jared Waters. We have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. She's an actress. She's a stand-up comedian. She's everything that's what's right in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Riley Lassin. How are you, madam?
Oh, thank you, Jared. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
No, how has this quarantine affected you and your life thus far?
You know, it's strange because I left for a bit. I went back to South Jersey with my family for a little bit, and I was a little like, I should be staying in New York. This is strange. But while I was there, I kind of learned to be alone, and I was never good at that. I was never good at like being in my own thoughts. Like, as we were saying before, I am terrible at that. I constantly have to keep going. Like, before this, I was like, if I'd have my day planned from like 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. Like, I needed the whole day planned, and not having plans, whew, that was weird.
You know, it's strange because I figure you are probably the nicest comedians that anyone could ever meet. You always are so loving and everything else. And not to question, but sometimes we wonder how we got to this Riley, right? How we got to this Riley. So what I would like to do is to go back to the beginning.
Oh.
To the beginning. Where are you from? Where do you call home? How did Riley, when Riley entered this earth, where did you enter from? I know where you entered from. Let me back it up. What state?
I was like, I don't know if she wants me talking about that on a podcast, but we can. I don't know if you'll like it, but
where do you call home? Where does it start? Where do you come? Where's home for you?
I grew up in Lumberton, New Jersey, which is a rural part of South Jersey, right outside, like 15 minutes from Philadelphia. So it was.
Are you a big family, small family? What was it like?
I just had my little brother, my mom, my dad, most of my family in Jersey. My mom's side's in Michigan. So that's.
So how much older than you are your brother?
My brother is 2 years younger than me. So he's my little brother. He's a little redhead, little ginger.
So what was it like growing up there? Like, do you have your early memories of like elementary school? Do you remember those times? What was that like growing up in New Jersey?
It was strange because we lived in Lumberton, New Jersey, and we were the only Jews in our neighbor, like we didn't know any other Jews in our town. So my mom thought it would be important for us. And this is where I was like, oh, you'd like this. She sent me and my brother to a Jewish day school. So, so my brother and I traveled about a half an hour every day to a Jewish day school. So we would be around other Jews because she was like, this might be good for them to be around, you know. And then during the summer, I would go to like summer camp that wasn't Jewish, so I can be around different people. But my mom was like, I feel like they should be around some Jews to know a little bit about their culture.
Did you guys notice that you were the only Jewish people there, or?
It was weird because as a kid, you don't really religion, color, it doesn't it doesn't sink in like other, like as you get older, so you don't really, it's not a big deal. It's not, you're like, oh, this is not a big deal as you get older, and you know, your parents teach you or the society, whatever. But as a kid, it wasn't a big deal. I remember one time, all the little kids, we all met at this one girl's house, and they all try to tell me that Jesus was the savior, you know, that they found out I was Jewish, and they're like, Riley, Jesus is our savior. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, good. I was like, sure, sounds nice. And I went home and my mom was like, honey, Chelsea's mom called.
Chelsea's mom called.
You heard what the kids were doing to you. Jesus is great, but he's just not ours. And I was like, he sounds like a great guy, Mom. I was like, what? Jesus can be our savior too. My mom's like, yeah, okay. Like as a kid, you're like, sure, right. Sounds great. You're not going to be like, no, you know, but that's how kind of was when I was younger.
I didn't really notice it till I see it now, how like little Jewish kids are the ones that are telling other kids that Christmas isn't real.
They do that. See, I was such a good kid. I was so good. My mom was like, honey, please don't tell the other neighbors like what's happening. I was like, got it. I
feel like they're more in tune of who they are. Like when I say like kids from different religions, they're like that. Cause even like in Christianity, we know Santa Claus is not real, but we still tell young kids, shh, Santa's not going to give you anything.
Right. I think I love that part of me. People like go crazy on that stuff. I think that's fantastic. I love being a part of that. I was like, Christmas was coming up. I couldn't wait to keep a secret. I was great at keeping that secret. I was like, oh, I can't wait till they find out. I was 7.
So when you go to this Jewish day school, what age is that? Is that like 5? Like is that your first?
Yeah, I went to a synagogue like preschool when I was like 3 to 5, and then I went to I started at a Jewish private day school at 7 to 14 to like.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
I went, and there was like only, by the time I graduated, 24 kids in my class.
Oh, word.
Yeah, we were, it was very small. You knew everyone's business.
What was do you remember the first teacher that like, your first teacher, what was her name or his name in school?
Mrs. Katz was my first teacher, Mrs. Katz. And she was cool because I had a lot of learning disabilities. I had a lot of like sensory issues. I had processing issues, and they were very good with me. Like they put you know, when you get an x-ray done, the vest, they put that on me in first grade.
What? No.
What? Can you imagine doing that to a 7-year-old? They put one, because I would move around so much.
They put a weighted vest. They put a weighted vest on you. Oh, that's so not okay.
You look back and you're like, was that traumatic? I don't know. I enjoyed it.
It's like, yeah, she's working on her calf muscles. That's why she wears a squatted vest.
Right. They're like, she's getting up too much. We have to keep her down. They put this vest on me. I was like, but it worked. So
she was like nice to you. What about the kids in this classroom? Did you feel a comfortability of being around people who were like you, or was it different being in school with everyone that had the same religion as you?
It was strange because it was nice being around, you know, people who we all pray together, we all learn together. But for some reason, having a learning disability and having all those other issues made me feel a little different um, constantly until I went to public school later in life and realized, oh, a lot of people have learning disabilities. Like it's not just because a lot of kids in my class were very, very smart. This school was a lot of kids in my class went to going Harvard, MIT, like they were smart cookies. So keeping up with these people felt like I was a little on the outside sometimes because I was always kind of behind in a
That's
way. But it was
crazy.
nice being around people that like believed in the same thing. That was nice, but I always felt kind of different in a way.
Was the competitiveness, being competitive, was it like fostered into the school system about like everyone needs to get?
Yeah, a little, and I think that has to do with maybe constantly being like you have to be good. And I don't know if this is like I know a lot of my Jewish friends growing up, their parents were like, you have to doctor, try to be a lawyer, a scientist, um, and like my parents never they were never about that. They saw that I loved art and I was good at like expressing myself through other things, and I wasn't so good at math and science. So my parents were like, no, do what you need, like what you want to do, we'll support. But a
Mm.
lot of parents were very be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a scientist. And I think even at a young age, a lot of those kids were like, I'm going to be president. Like, awesome. But I was over here like, I just want to go on stage. Like, I didn't know at a young age. I was like, I just want to have fun.
That's amazing that you know that at such a young age. You knew
Yeah.
you were, so were you the funny person in class? Were you like the one that's always having fun, or were you kind of like a little self-conscious about your disability that you had?
I think I had to be like, oh, I don't know if this is now contributing to how I am today about it being overly nice and being overly positive, because I constantly, you know, felt like I had to make up for being behind. If I was like, if I can make them laugh, if I can make them like me, they won't care if I ask 10 million questions about this math problem.
Mm.
Like I felt like I was kind of having to, you know, be like, okay, if they like me, I won't be as annoying about like if I can't read all the way through. Like that's how I always felt. I was like,
Right.
if they like me, I'm good. If I can make this class laugh, I'm good to go. We're in the clear.
You're kind of like hiding your disability a little bit. You're like
Hmm.
disguising it with something else, with like laughter.
Yeah, I kind of did that all the way most of my life. I kind of try to if I make them laugh, maybe they won't notice I don't get what they're talking about.
Mhm.
If I just keep going. But that was mostly middle school and elementary school. Hmm.
So who was, let's go, who was the first friend you ever made, like when you went to the school? Like who was the first friend you met at the school, and who was the first friend you met in your neighborhood? What
Oh
are
my
those people like? Let's go
um
back to them.
my very first friend, when I was younger, we had a play group. Like as a kid, my mom had this little play group, and her name was Samantha Sides, and she was amazing. She's an amazing friend, and she's Catholic. So I just remember doing Christmas when I was younger, and my mom being like, "You can't tell Sam about Santa Claus." I was like, "Got it," and I just but she was an amazing friend, and we didn't go to school actually till high school,
Mhm.
but we stayed friends all through elementary, middle school. She came to my plays. I went to her swim meets, gymnastics. She came to my karate show. Like we both like, but we weren't in the same school. But she was my first like friend.
Your neighborhood friend.
Yeah, she was my first like. Mhm.
And what's your first school friend, the first friend you make at the school? What's that friend? Who's that friend?
I think it might have been Zoe Crest might have been the first friend. Zoe Crest, yeah. And Zoe was she's a good friend, and she still is. She's also a smart cookie. She's like John Hopkins, killing it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that Zoe Crest might have been the first friend at school. Hmm.
Did they ever cross paths? Did you ever have your neighborhood friends and then your school friends cross paths, or was it like two separate lifestyles? Like these are my neighborhood friends. Then when I go to shul, these are my shul
School
friends.
friends. Yeah. Oh, I love yours little shul. Look at you. I love it. Yeah, I was very, very good, and I think I'm still pretty good at having different groups of friends. And when they cross paths, being like, okay, we have to make this as comfortable as possible. My bat mitzvah was like the first time I remember seeing like different groups of friends coming together, and I was like, I hope this works out. Everyone has to get drunk. I remember thinking that at like 12. I was like, we all have to be drinking. Yeah.
When you get to shul, did you notice, was there like a separation of boys and girls outside the shul, where like boys would have to do certain things, or was you guys more blended together in the school?
We were more blended together. First, I went to a conservative synagogue. You know how it is: Reform, conservative, Orthodox, ultra, all that.
Yeah.
I was considered most of my life conservative. I would go to shul every Saturday till high school.
Oh wow.
So since I was little, that's what my mom thought that would be a good thing for me to do too. And my brother, since where we grew up, it would be nice for us to go to synagogue. And then it all became a social hour. It became a social hour every Saturday. Every Saturday. And all of a sudden I would be like, oh, what am I going to wear to shul tomorrow to look? It's like now I'm seeing my crush. Like it became a party. It became a hangout and a party once we turned like 12. I was like, this isn't about praying anymore. We're here just to socialize.
It was like building a community of people who share
Mhm.
the same religion, because I noticed that a lot of people would like for their daughters to marry a Jewish man. You know?
Oh my God. My father would be so happy. But like, I guess that's with and it's a very old, like, I can't, like, when I have children one day, they honestly can marry whoever. And of course, I love my religion. I really do. I love being Jewish. There are parts of being Jewish that's very spiritual,
Mhm.
and it's about the earth and about your body and health. That's not extreme, that I think is beautiful, and I would love to teach to my kids. But I think, love is
Right.
important. But my father, so happy. He would be so,
High fiving everybody. Come on, everybody.
oh
Look.
my God. I told him I downloaded J Swipe because I was bored, Jewish Tinder. Oh, he was the happiest little camper.
My friend, she's Orthodox, and she told me that when you get to a certain age, the like rabbi has like this matchmaker, and he gives you a file, and he looks at your file, and they like match you, and you got to meet at the bottom of a hotel, and then after that, you got to give like the Carfax of how the date went, the
Perfect.
pros and cons, and then he like sends it back as like, well, she doesn't want a second date, so we're gonna go ahead and put you into a different binder.
That's so funny that you have to write a review about the date afterwards. Like you go to a restaurant, you're like, it was good until, mashed potatoes were kind of cold. That's funny. That's my mom even told me the other day. She's like, maybe we should get you a matchmaker. I'm like, Mom.
Yeah, that's what she said she has. She's she's Orthodox. She grew up Orthodox.
See, that's a little more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother, that's never happening. Ever. Ever.
So we're like 8. So we're 8. We're starting to go to the Jewish private school that we're inside there. And are you comfortable now with your disability? Have you embraced it yet? Or are you still?
I'm not as comfortable. No, still, I'm. I still get very uncomfortable when they take me out of class to help
Oh,
me.
they're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and like they put in speakers in the room. So imagine you're in a class and there's like little speakers everywhere, and the teacher is wearing a headphone, and then like I have a speaker on my desk because I have auditory processing disorder, which is when you're talking and we're at a comedy club and everyone else is talking, you're talking to me, I might hear half of your sentence because I'm processing only half of it. This is why like reading lips right now and like the mask over the face is like so hard because I'm like, oh, reading lips was my thing. I was like, oh man. But when as an 8, 9 year old, there were speakers in the class and I was very self-conscious.
Embarrassed too. That's very like.
Yeah, because
Very,
they were like, this is for Riley. Everything was, no, this is for Riley. And I was like, hey, you don't have to say it. Like it could have, now if you go to that private school, there's speakers in every classroom and they're still using the speakers for kids because they're realizing it's helpful in general. Because there could be outside noise, could be hallway noises, and people just get distracted.
right.
So, but now they use it all the time there. But when I was a kid, it was like, this is for Riley. Okay, everybody, like the speaker, be careful. I was like, oh my God. You don't want to be outed as an
Correct.
8-year-old. You want to be like everyone else. I was like, oh man.
Did you ever have those moments where you talked to your parents about it? Like, why am I different, or what were they saying?
My mom was very good at being like, and not trying to make me different. She was like, this is helping everybody, Riley. This is not just helping you.
Mm.
Um, you know, if you're a nice person and, you know, you're doing the right thing. And my dad would teach me this too. They're not going to care about that in the end. No one's going to be like, do you remember Riley, the girl with the speakers? They're going to be like, you remember Riley? She was the one that made me laugh. Like, they're not going to remember the speakers as much as they're going to remember you. And like, they kind of ingrained that in me for most of my childhood. Just be a nice, kind person, and whatever happens, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Everyone has their issues. Everyone is going through something, not just you. This may be a thing now, but in 10 years, it's not going to be the same. So they kind of ingrained that in me most of my childhood, which I thought was very helpful as a kid.
What a loving family, to like know
Yeah,
that their daughter's special.
no, very blessed. Mm-hmm.
What were your grandparents like?
My you say Bubby, Bubbies and
Yeah. You say, yeah, Bubby. I was like, yeah, she's calling
Bubby,
me old.
Bubbies.
She
So
always calls me an old grandpa. When you call her, I was like, yeah, she's calling me grandpa.
oh no, because I call everyone, but we call, so my 2 grandmas Bubbies, and then my grandpa, my dad's dad was Zato. We call that Yiddish for grandpa, and then Zadie for my mom's side. But my dad's parents. So my biggest influence in my life is my dad's mom,
Mm.
and she was like if she was on this call right now, she'd be flirting with you. She'd be like, "Oh, hello there!" Like she was the most confident woman. I would always strive to be like her, but she also was such a Jewish grandmother. We would be in synagogue and she'd be like, these girls think they can get away without any makeup. I'm like, Bubby. But she'd flirt with women, she'd flirt with men. She'd be like, Riley, you have to learn how to use your angle. Like she was so but like but she made everyone laugh. She was like a light in a room. She'd walk in a room and you just like, you'd have to stare. She just glow. And she was just like my one person my whole life I could go to, all that. And she was a good one. She was an amazing woman, but she was definitely, she was crazy. She pulled crazy stuff that you're like, you can't do that. You can't take 10 bathrobes from a hotel and think it's okay. Like she pulled Jewish grandma stuff that you're like, really? Okay, Bubby. But she was great.
Did you spend like a lot of time with her? Like, were there times like you just spend the whole summer with her, or?
Oh yeah, we after school she was and synagogue, she was right down the road. So we would always go over there after school. If there was any issues in the family or like for whatever reason, I would always get dropped off at her house.
Mm-hmm.
So she was always very good at distracting me for like if there was ever issues with anything, and that was really beautiful. But she was a really good woman, and she knew how to distract you from anything that was going on. She just make you laugh.
Were you the first grandchild, or were there a lot of you guys?
So they're on my dad's side, two other boys. I was the first granddaughter in the whole
Oh,
family on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side.
so what's that like? Or do you feel like there was like extra
Oh,
excitement, or just like we got to make sure?
it was so weird. It was she called so my name's Riley, but it's not very Jewish, and she didn't like that it wasn't Jewish enough. She's like, "Why couldn't you be named Rebecca or Rachel?" So she called me Princess for 2 months of my childhood. She wouldn't call me Riley. She'd be like, "Oh, there's Princess." I was like, "This is terrible." So because she's like, Riley's not a Jewish name. We're not calling her Riley. But she eventually got around. But I was the first girl in 42 years.
Wow.
On that side. And then on my mom's side, there was the two boys as well. So it was all boy cousins. And like I learned how to hang with guys, I think, because I tried so hard to fit in with my cousins. I just want them to like me. I just want them to like me. That's all. But like, how can you like an annoying 7-year-old girl when you're a 10-year-old boy? Like, you can't. Right. There is no there like you can get along, but like, what do you have in common? It's not much.
But since now you know how to hang with the dudes, but you're still feminine. You know, feminine, right? You still
right. Yeah, I learned the feminine from my bubby, and then like learning how to hang with guys from all my cousins.
How do they treat you though? How did your cousins treat you being the only girl? Did you feel like you were always a girl, or you feel like you were the one of the homies?
Oh, I think because I was kind of like tomboy when I was younger. As I got older, I was definitely more feminine. And I think they were a little weirded out by that. And my mom's side, they were like 10 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
9, 10 years older. So they kind of were a little nicer. But my dad's side was was boys my age. So right now we're all really good friends. And like, I FaceTimed with one of them yesterday. Like, we're all good buddies. But when I was younger, I was like, please let them I want them to like me so badly. I was like, I'll watch baseball.
I'll watch baseball.
I'll watch football. Like, that's, yeah.
So we're 9 years old, right? So now we go into our adolescence, right?
Yeah.
We're still in the same school. We're still in the same school. Does your community of friends in the neighborhood get bigger? Or are your friends now getting bigger from the school you're going to?
Yeah, the school I'm going to, I'm definitely getting closer with them. Just because I lived so far from.
You're like pretty much bus to a different neighborhood, yeah.
Oh my God, the bus didn't even get there. My dad had to drive us. The bus wouldn't even get to where we lived. We lived on a farm. It was like farmland. So like my dad had to drive us, but I had joined karate when I was 7, and by 9, 10, I was killing it in karate. I would leave school on Fridays early so I could get to karate practice early. Like, they let me leave class so I could go to karate practice.
What belt did you get up to?
Black.
Oh, F. So you can F somebody up if you wanted to.
Yeah, but if you tell anyone that, they'd be like, no, she can't. No, she.
Yeah, there's so much things about you that nobody even knows. It's like, man, Riley, you touch her, she might kick your knees out.
Beat you up. Yeah. With a smile. That's when they called me Smiley Riley when I was 9, because when I would fight, I would be smiling. Because like, I just love I love doing it. So anything I love doing, I'm just smiling the whole time. And they're like, you can't be smiling when you hit someone. That's weird. It looks strange. Don't stop doing.
You went all the way up to black belt. So did you like the competition? Did you like competing?
See, I liked the competition, but it wasn't the end of the world for me. I think I like performing, and I like being with a cool group of people, and I was good at karate. So I like being good at something. Because in school, I was terrible at school. I was terrible at all. So karate was a place I could be good at. And but competition was never a thing for me. Like, this one girl, Maria, we were 10 years old, and she was in the Delran school, I think. And she would kick everyone's butt at sparring, because you had to do a kata section, you had to do a weapons section, then you had to do a sparring section in competitions, and she would kick everyone's butts. And I remember fighting her, and I was so excited to fight her, because I was like, maybe I'll win. And my mom was like, if you don't win, it's fine. She said, Riley, just be careful. She kicked me in the stomach. I turned around, threw up. I was 10. I turned around, threw up, went back, and I don't know what I did, wiped her out, and I won.
Oh.
I remember winning, and my mom was like, yeah, no one saw that coming.
You turned around and knocked her out.
I turned around and knocked her out. My mom's like, you literally threw up and then you beat her up. My mom's like, who raised you? Who?
The Karate Kid, right?
I was like, I was like, that was a lovely surprise. My mom's like, what? But it was fun.
Do you think that people are surprised at your talent? Because it's like hidden talents, because your talent, people can tell that you're very talented, but they don't know where the talent comes from, until you explain it. Like, oh, wow, I've done this. You're like, what, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it was a part of childhood. It's a part of your life that you don't really, I was in the mime company in high school, and I did it because I knew it would help me as an actor. But when you tell people you were a mime, they're like, what? When did you have time to be a mime? I'm like,
that's cool as that.
There's time to be a mime. I lost all your followers right now. They heard I was a mime, and they're like, sign off? Yeah, but.
No, I wrote a pilot about a mime.
You did? Wait,
yeah. About a black dude falling in love with a mime.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, they bump into each other, and she's like this, and he goes, I see you.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It's called You Remind Me.
Oh my God, I'm done. Oh my God, are they stuck in the box the whole time?
No, they go. They're taking her real. She's going to counseling and stuff like that, and he's trying to explain himself to her, and she's doing all this mime stuff.
Oh, that's nice. That's cute.
Yeah, so it's real. You Remind Me. That's what it's called.
Okay. Oh, so my miming goes along with your. Okay, this is good. But yeah, people are always, they think it's the funniest thing when they hear I'm a mime or a black belt or whatever. I'm like, you know what?
I think that's cool. I think that is so. I think sometimes as we, as comedians, we don't really look into much about each other. We're always looking into ourselves and realizing oh man, these people have lived interesting lives. I feel like the most interesting people are people who've lived a life.
I 110% agree. I love learning and hearing. That's why growing up and being like, oh, you should marry someone Jewish. Of course, I would love that because it's your religion, spiritual, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But I always love being with people, friends, love, whatever, with people who aren't exactly like me. Because I think other cultures, other religions, it's so cool. It's so cool learning about it. Brings you out of a bubble. It brings you out of your own world, and you can appreciate other things. And I think that's honestly, in the end, the most beautiful thing that you can do as a human is just learning about other people. Right. So I think that's 100% agree.
Do you get to this point at so now we're at 11. So you're 11. You're going into middle school. Is this when do people know that you're in karate or no? Do people at your school?
Yeah, they know I'm in karate. I wanted to do the school play very badly when I was 11, but karate took up too much of my time. And I was also going to speech therapy, occupational therapy, all the other things. So my mom was like, you can't do the school play. There's no, so everyone knew, and I got my black belt when I was 13. Okay. So everyone knew that. They're like, oh yeah, Riley's doing her karate. That was my thing. I left school early. Me and Jennifer Silver. Jennifer left school early to do ballet. I left school early to go to karate because we were competing. So they're like, oh, this is good for them. Their school thought it was good for us to go and compete. It's so weird.
Migrate into.
Right.
So with the speech therapist, did you go to the speech therapist for like the pronunciation or for what? What was the speech therapy for?
Speech therapy was mostly for my auditory processing, and because sometimes when you don't hear things correctly, you say things wrong. I still have that now with certain words. But she also did recall. I couldn't remember, like if you asked me when I was 8 what was in the fridge, like what's in your fridge, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what was in a fridge, like, or like who was at the birthday party, I couldn't tell you. And it wasn't memory. It's not memory per se, it's recalling. I couldn't put their names up to their faces. I couldn't remember the word tomato. It's strange. And as a child, it's very hard because when you're trying to meet new people and talk about things, recall is such a big thing. Like, what did you do at school today? I would be like, went into rooms, like I couldn't, and it's not memory. It's a very interesting thing, but it goes along with auditory processing. But my mom, she made me go to this therapy so much as a kid that now as an adult, I don't find it to be an issue, which is a beautiful thing.
Got it. Yeah. So you were introduced to all these things early.
Yeah, it was definitely a big thing in my childhood. And I'm very grateful for my mom to like have made me like take me there every other day. And she she'd do the homework with me. It was good.
What age do you fall in love with acting? When does that happen?
I think because of my Jewish private school, we had it. I don't know if this is most day schools, but since in first grade, we had to do like big plays from the Bible, like Torah stories, right? And we had to act out all this stuff. Every year it was a different act out, a big one at the end of the school year. And I always killed it. I was like, I'm going to be like, I had the best time. I was always the comedic part. Like, 5th grade. So what, 10, 11, we
Right.
had to do, a mock wedding. Like we had to learn a life cycle in 5th grade. So you learned at the beginning, you had to learn about your birth. So we learned about like sex and everything. Then we learned about the bris. Then we learned about bar and bat mitzvahs. Then we learned about weddings and the matchmaker and whatever. And then we learned about, dying and the shiva and the death process, because that's a huge thing in the Jewish religion. Is a lot. And when I was around 5th or 6th grade, I had a lot of death going on. So we learned. It was like we had to learn everything backwards. Our teacher died in the beginning of 5th grade, so we had to learn shiva and death first, and then work our way. We worked our way back up.
We went back around the life cycle.
But the mock wedding, I was the matchmaker. I was the yenta. I wore my mom's bra. I stuffed it. I had a Yiddish accent. It was terrible, but I had the best. I was like, I love performing.
Did they have that recorded? Did your dad record it?
Yep, it's recorded. It's recorded. My dad fell asleep in it, but it's recorded.
Play that back for your VH1 behind the music, behind the joke.
It's there somewhere in the world on a VH1 set. It's out there, but that's when I literally was like, I love performing. Any aspect, I loved it. Karate, performing, on stage, anything, getting up in front of the class. I enjoyed all of it. Being center of attention. That's what it was.
How did you memorize your lines?
See, that was it. They never gave me lines because they knew I couldn't recall them. So they always would be like, Riley, if you want it, you can kind of like improv.
You're Robert Downey Jr. She don't read script. The script reads her.
It's great. They're like, don't give Riley lines. She's not gonna.
That's so effed up. But
I went to school for a BFA, and my roommates we all went to the same school. You can ask any of them. If I had they never gave me big parts because literally they're like, we can't trust Riley with them. with the lines, because I would be terrible. I loved improv. That's why I love comedy so much, because I don't feel the stress of the memorizing. I feel like I can do my own thing, which is great. But yeah, Robert Downey.
Yeah, I don't read this. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
I don't read script. Script reads me. I'm like, wow.
Great.
True story. I auditioned for a play before. I auditioned to be monkey number 7 in the Jungle Book.
I was a flying monkey in The Wiz.
Was it the black?
No, The Wiz. It was.
Oh, but you did the Wiz, the black version.
They did The Wiz at a Jewish sleepaway camp, dear.
Who was Michael Jackson? Who had to be Michael?
I just remember watching and being like, I think something's off. Something doesn't seem right. I couldn't put a finger on it. I was like, this doesn't seem right. I was like, why are we doing
Ease on down the road.
Fits on down the road, okay?
Fits on down the road.
I just remember being like, something doesn't seem right. I don't know why we're doing this show.
I don't know about, but that lion sure has a little savits to him, huh? That lion has some stuff to him.
That's great.
That's amazing, though. That's amazing at that age you learn how to improv.
Yeah, I love doing
skills that you use now.
Exactly. It definitely helped as I got older, like being able to just like, and my mom's like, I don't know how you do it on stage, like crowd work. She goes, you couldn't remember anything.
Oh, that is a good point. I didn't even think about it like that, because you do a lot of crowd work.
Yeah, my mom's like, I don't know how you remember, like, just go off on things, because she goes, like, 20 years ago, that would not be a thing. She's like, it's crazy. And it blows my mind sometimes, too. I'll see videos of myself as a kid. I'm like, how am I talking right? Like, it doesn't equal
But
as a kid.
Now I'm starting to think that a lot of people down south probably don't remember names. That's why we use all these nicknames.
That's what I do.
Big Dog. If you ever noticed, what's up, Big Dog? What's up, Pee Wee? What's up, Turbo? What's up, Nicodemus? I called some dude Nicodemus. He's like, what? I said, yeah, that's my nickname for you, Nicodemus. All right.
Have a recalling issue. You're like, oh, don't worry about it.
Right. So now we're 12. We're in school. We're doing karate. Your friends are supporting you now. You have friends, right? Do you meet more friends? Who's like your second and third friend? Who's the girls that you are dudes that you're rolling with?
I have to say it's, there's 14 girls in the grade right now.
Oh, that's a big crew.
It's a big group of girls. So
like one grade. That's a small amount of girls.
There's 14 girls and 10 boys. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking there was cliques in the 14 girls. How do you make cliques with 14 girls? Like they did it. I don't know how they did it. I didn't understand. I hated cliques. I thought
What clique were you in?
I tried to be in all of them. I tried so hard to be friends with them all. One time, one of the cliques told a lie about the other clique. There was 2 cliques, and then like a little third clique, but one of the cliques told a lie about the other clique. Mm-hmm. And then we had to go to counseling, and watch bully movies every lunch period for about 6 weeks. And then after the 6 weeks was over, a bully video, right? Of bullying videos, and they were the stupidest. Remember the 90s, early 2000s health video, bad acting. But I was so angry. I'm like, why are we even in here? And then they're like, okay, you guys can go to lunch now. You guys are going to sit together, have a good lunch. We went to lunch, and I remember the cliques sat separately. And I was like, this is stupid. I remember I sat in the middle of the lunchroom on the ground.
By yourself?
By myself, because I was so angry. I was like, why aren't we all sitting together? And then one of my friends was like, Riley, we all can't like each other. I was so mad. I was like, this is stupid. There's 14 of us. We all can get along. Why are we doing this?
It's crazy. You at a young age knowing that you just wanted to keep everything together,
Yeah, I was I get very scared when things are negative. I get which is also probably not a great thing either, but anytime there was anything bad, I was like, no, squash it.
So you're the one that bridged the gap of everything else.
I tried.
So what about the dudes? The dudes were there because 12 and 13 is like really when
Oof.
like puberty starts. What was that? How do they talk to you guys about puberty? Was it
Well,
weird or
it
some
was
old
very
lady?
weird because it wasn't a big deal as much because for some reason we always were kind of, for some reason, and I don't know, this is not an all Jewish sex, but they were very good at being like, it's okay to have sex. Like they were very
Well,
chill,
at that age?
right? They were like, it's a good, this is how you put on a condom. This is when we were like 11. We did a whole condom banana thing. I'm like, this seems early, but it felt normal, which was cool. But I got boobs when I was 11, 12. So me and one other girl had these huge boobs. And I just remember like wearing low cut shirts every day. Cause I remember the guys like, I got attention because I was always kind of weird. They liked me as like a friend, but then I was always like this also weird, like Riley's so strict. But then this low cut shirt thing happened and they just didn't know what to do. They're like, what is Riley?
He said, let me talk in the speaker for a minute.
Right? They're like, this is interesting. This is, and my first ever encounter with a guy was synagogue. Like, was
Whoa. What?
right, Jared?
It was, gotta prove this. Gotta prove this.
Right? Okay. I've said it on stage a little bit here and there because I think this story is because I was 12, I was about to turn 13, and this guy would always message me on AIM. Right? And you'd always be like, he would say things like, "Can I titty fuck?" And I'm like, "What?" Like I remember looking it up on Wikipedia. Like what titty fuck? Yeah, I was like, "What is this?" And I remember one time he's like, we should hook up. And I was like, okay, where? Because we couldn't do it like in our house or in school. He's like, how about the synagogue? I'm like, I was like, okay. So we planned one Saturday. I remember what I was wearing. I remember all of it. We went to synagogue, and after the mourner's Kaddish, you know the
Mortar's Cottage. Yeah.
like it's for dead people.
Oh my God.
We're like after the mourner's Kaddish, we're gonna go to the youth lounge because no one's in the youth lounge. So I remember sneaking down to the youth lounge with him, and I remember being so nervous. I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. And he was like, I remember him saying, he's like, I have a boner. And I remember not knowing what that was. And I was like, yeah, me too. I have. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I got one too. He's like, okay. Like, I was like, ah. But then.
Me too.
It was the weirdest. I just remember being like, this is the strangest thing that's ever gonna happen. And then when we found this little like corner, and I remember I looked up what titty fucking was on Wikipedia the day before, and it was these two big.
Jeez Louise.
This big black cock in the middle, and he took out his little like 11-year-old, 12-year-old penis. And I remember being like, this is not what it looked like on Wikipedia. Like, this is not what I saw.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. We didn't kiss or anything. I think I touched it for a second. It was like a weird, and then we were done. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, I remember being so nervous. I was like, I don't know who to tell. I don't know who to talk to this about. Because he's like, don't tell anybody. I was like, ah.
So you just kept this in. You was like, yeah.
No, I told one I told one of the girls in our class at a sleepover, and then she told another girl, and then they told his best friend, and then I got reamed. He was like, why would you tell her? I'm like, you know what? We have a small ass class. The parents found out, the teachers found out.
Oh
I
my
was like
God.
the hoe. I was like the hoe of the Jewish private school. I had all these learning disabilities. Now I'm over here being a hoe. Like, they're like, what is Riley? Like, this is.
Did you feel ashamed when they told? How did you feel?
Yeah, I definitely felt I was very
Embarrassed?
embarrassed.
And you don't
Mhm.
like being embarrassed too. That's the
I
thing.
hate, yeah, that was it for me with guys, really. Like, I had one little boyfriend in high school, but I just remember being like, you know what? If this is what happens when you get drama with men, I'm done. I was like, I don't want this drama. I remember being very, very embarrassed at 12 for it.
I noticed that like growing up that it was just like I guess now I know it's toxic of just guys discussing girls in locker rooms and stuff like that. But it's like when I tell my lady, I was like, that's what I just grew up on. Like I grew up on
Yeah.
that. You know, I think guys are more messier than girls.
It's weird because honestly, when I told the girlfriends about it, they all were like, "Oh, that's awesome," and then we didn't talk about it again. We
Hmm.
were just were like, "Oh, that's great." But as soon as Aton, I remember Aton told, no, it was over. He got mad at me. I was like, "What's the big deal?" He's like, "You can't be telling everyone." I was like, "Okay, my bad."
My bad for something you wrote on AIM.
My yeah, and then he hit me up in high school to hook up. I was like, "How dare you? How dare how dare you? 4 years later, you're asking me to hook up after you put me through that." I was so annoyed.
Right. I don't even go to that synagogue anymore.
Right? Yeah, he changed synagogues. I was like, "What?" Like, did
You
my
changed
boobs do
synagogue.
this? Did my boobs make you change synagogues?
So that was your first experience to like to that adolescence of just puberty, and it was a bad
Yep.
experience. So do you leave? This is at 14 is when you leave this school, right?
Yes.
Was it a happiness where you're like, I'm finally gone, like I get a fresh start?
It was strange because I wanted so badly to go to public school. Very badly. I wanted to go to public school most of the time. I don't know. I just heard, I watched movies. I would, I wanted that experience of like I just wanted public school experience.
Did your
Because
friend say that was in your neighborhood? Did she tell you about public school or?
yes, yeah, they all were like, "Oh, Riley, you love it, this and that." But my mom they didn't want me going to the public school where we grew up because as a Jew, they didn't feel comfortable sending me there, and I think the school system wasn't as good.
Mhm.
Um, so they were like, so I was like, let's move.
Let's move. Let's leave.
I was like, we shouldn't just move. And my mom's like, okay, I'll move. So we moved when I was 14.
You got your whole family to move.
I got the whole family to get up and move. I was like, this feels like too much. But my mom's like, no, you're right. Like, I think it'd be smart. We moved closer to my dad's dental office and we moved closer to my bubby. It was overall a great move. But where we moved to was Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And that is like a Jewish bubble, my friend. It is the
I went to somewhere closer.
it is close. It is the most little Jewish bubble, but I didn't really know anyone in my public school. I moved 14 and I think I knew 3 people in high school.
Was that good? Did you feel alone or did you like it so you get
Um,
to start out fresh? You knew 3 people in your high school that were Jewish or you knew 3 people in your high
no,
school in general?
just from my Jewish private school. They also went. So there was like 3
Oh,
of us there.
you had a comfortability.
Right. And but they were in all the AP classes. Remember, they're all very smart. They're all very
But
smart.
this is the first time where you get to be with like people who are just like you a little bit, you know?
Yeah, like I got excited because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in all these different classes." But my problem was because my middle school and elementary school, we were doing 12-page papers in 7th grade.
Mm.
Like we were doing college like essays. So by the time I got to high school, even though I was very behind
You
in
were
my
ahead.
middle school, I was still further in high. I didn't realize. But because the school system saw my issues, they were like, "Oh, we have to put her in the lowest classes." And I got there and I felt very like I would do my homework, the kids wouldn't. Like the kids wouldn't do their homework. I'm like, I thought we all had to do our homework. Like I was a good kid. I was a good student. I was like, I how we had to do homework because I came from a private school. But the kids in my class, they were like, no. I remember most of my classes were with kids who like would sell drugs, who would do, but then I became their friend. Like, it was so fun. They were such great guys. By the end of high school, like, some of them hit me up sometimes being like, Riley, we're so proud of you doing comedy. Like,
That's good. Yeah.
but I was friends with them, and then I did theater. And so I kind of had different little groups of friends, but most of my core group of friends in high school was the theater kids.
Did you notice that you got a bump of confidence when you went to the public school? Because now your disability was really an advantage because that school was so hard, your Jewish school. Now you're the smart girl in all your classes.
In all my classes, right?
Right.
I honestly, I did. I felt, the bump of confidence came with that, but I was behind on the everything else as being like all the girls would straighten their hair. They had contacts. They wore juicy outfits. They were wearing
juicy outfits.
It was that time. It was the juicy jumpsuits.
Juicy. I remember that. Juicy.
Remember the juicy jumpsuits?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, juicy jumpsuits.
Juicy. Look at it. That's a little juice.
Right? The little Jewish flat butts everywhere with the juicy jumpsuits. It was lovely. But I wanted that. I didn't realize. So I would come home and be like, Mom, I want this. I want to look like that. And my mom hated that because my dad's a dentist. So we were able to be in a nice area. But my mom grew up very poor in Michigan. And I'm very grateful for her because she was able to be like, Riley, if you want that, like, you can't just ask for it. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not that type of mom. I'm not going to just, if you want Uggs, I'm not buying you a $150 pair of shoes just so you can fit in. Mm-hmm. So I would get kind of annoyed because I wanted to fit in and look like the other girls. And that was never a thing till high school.
So what clothes were they buying you?
I was wearing like t-shirts and jeans and like sneakers. Like that was or plaid button-ups with leggings and like Converse. Like I was very chill. And then as soon as I got to high school, I was like, oh my God, I have to straighten my hair every day. Like I need contacts. Like my mom was like, why? She's like, you never needed.
I need contacts.
I was wearing glasses. I was like, I look stupid. I was like, what? Now you want contacts for what? For who? But that's what happens when you're a 14-year-old girl. Yeah. Well, I feel like for most boys too, you want to fit in.
No, our adolescence is big. I feel like I read this. Our adolescence is whoever we are at that age is because of the people who are around.
Exactly. You are who your company is. Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of my friends, we have this twang to us because I grew up. So I went to school in the Netherlands and Japan. So all my friends are from different parts of the world.
Oh, cool. So
when people hear the slang, they're like, we don't know where the F you're from, man. We don't know. So I was like, I can do a Southern accent. I can do a West Coast accent, everything else. Because all my friends are like spread around the world. So you're in theater. So theater is big in high school. So you're in high school, you're 14, you're fitting in, you're the smart girl now. You went from being, you're pretty much, you got the boosted confidence.
My lower classes, not on the lower classes.
That's still something though. Mm-hmm. You're talking to the drug dealers, you're out there, you're helping them cut up grams and stuff like that. You're helping them with their business goals. What's it like meeting people from what's it like? Do you feel unique? Or do you think they think they're unique to you?
I think being in Cherry Hill, meeting other people, I was very much the stereotype. Instantly, I was a white Jewish girl, and being in Cherry Hill, that was very much a thing. If you went to Cherry Hill East and you look like me, it was normal.
Did people think you were Jewish, or people didn't think you're like something else?
No, I definitely, as I got older, when I would go to college or when I came to New York, and I would meet people who maybe didn't know as many Jews, they would think I was Italian, or in the summer, if I got darker, they would think maybe I was Cuban or something, like they would always, or Greek, they didn't. And then as soon as of course there could be Jewish, Greek people, but someone's hearing Jewish, they're like, really? What? I did, seriously? Like, I didn't see that. But back in high school, I was very much the norm, which was weird because where I grew up, that wasn't a thing. So it was kind of cool being around. Like, we could have a menorah in our window. Back where I lived when I was younger, we couldn't have a menorah because people would throw rocks at the window. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because anti-Semitism was so bad as a kid. When I got to high school, it's weird though, the first day of high school, this guy threw pennies at me in my math class. I was the only Jewish person in my math class. And I remember he threw pennies at me. And because most of the Jews were in the AP courses and the honors. And he threw pennies at me and he's like, "You're a Jew, right?" And I just remember laughing because I didn't know what else to do. I was like, "Oh, ha, ha." I didn't know how.
Making fun of like money, the stereotype.
Right, the stereotype. And then later on, same guy called me a kike, I remember later. And I remember being like, who calls, like, how is that a thing still?
What is a kike? I remember people would say it all the time. I was like, what the freak is that?
So, a kike is, I hate saying that. It's like the N-word it's the derogatory word for Jews. Calling someone
I always hear Jewish people say it to each other, and I'm like, man.
You do?
Yeah.
Really? I feel like it's such an old country. And kike, I believe, originates, and the way this word came about is very weird. Mm-hmm. So when people came through Ellis Island, or when they came here, they had to fill out like a registry or whatever. And they said to make X's, right? Like fill out and make X's. And the X's look like crosses to the Jews. They saw the X and they're like, oh, we don't want to draw a cross. So instead they drew in a little circle. They drew in the circle. And apparently, I believe kike means circle in some language. I don't know if it's German or Yiddish. Kike means something. So then people would then be like, oh, that's a kike over there. Instead of saying that's a Jewish person, they would just be like, oh, that's a kike, because they would see the little circle. So that's how it came about, which is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, just because does it put a circle on a cross?
Yeah, they would just put the circle on, and instead of being a normal human being, be like, that's a Jewish person. There's evil in this world, and they have to say, oh, let's make a whole word for a type of person, like any other type of people. Or
do you think at that age you wanted to fit in, so you would just ignore the anti-Semitism?
I think, and I believe this is with a lot of Jews as well. Instead of, getting mad about it, it's very easy to laugh it off or make a joke, because like, what else is there to do? I was always told just to like ignore it, but after a while you're kind of like, okay, there's obviously hatred in certain people towards my people, right? Like when you hear someone say kike, okay, you obviously don't like Jewish people. Like that you obviously are going out of your way to not like this type of people. So I think instead of getting angry, I just learned to either laugh it off or make a joke about it. And that's where the whole self-hating Jew comes from. That's the whole derogatory or like self-deprecating thing comes from. And you see that in a lot of Jewish comedians, especially like.
Yeah, I didn't get that because in the South, we were raised Christian. So when we saw Jewish people, we knew they were the chosen people. So they're like, I was like, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how it is. I forgot.
Wow.
Yeah, they're I was scared. In college, I hooked up with this Jewish girl. And yeah, I did. And then she's like, why are you so nice? I said, I'm afraid if I break your heart, God might break my spirit.
I'm gonna tell that now to every guy I hook up with. I'm like, be careful, because
that's a son.
I'm watching.
Yeah, we're in North Carolina. So it's just like she's like, because I'm Jewish. And everybody's like, what'd you say you were? And they're like, oh, those are the chosen people, man. You better chill out, man. Chill.
Wonderful term. I'm gonna use that now. Yep.
People, yeah, but the people are where when I tell people like, yeah, the chosen people, like, don't say that. We don't believe that. I was like, oh, freak. All right, my bad.
Yeah, it's weird that the certain ideas of all that, but I'm like, hey, if you don't have to see me as a Jew and just see me as Riley, that's great too. But if you see me as a Jew, like, just don't throw rocks at my window.
It's amazing how you say you were the stereotypical person of a Jewish person, but when I went to Israel, I thought I was in Miami, Florida.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know when people were telling me. I was like, "What? What?" They're like mixed girls, everything else, and I was like, "It's crazy how here there's a stereotype, but in Israel, it was just like I thought I was in Miami." I was like, "Oh, Tel Aviv looks like Miami, Florida."
Yeah, Israeli Jews and American Jews, it's a very different stereotype. Like we all in the end have the same type of, you know, wanting of the same things, but the American Jewish white passing stereotype is a little different. I don't know if it's because of us coming from Eastern Europe and the propaganda of the big nose, the like like that whole thing was like transferred over here, and we did a lot of money stuff in Europe, like there was a lot of bank involved, because money was dirty back in the day, so nobody wanted that job, so the Jews did it because no one else wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became a thing where Jews just want money. It's like, no, we just help with the jobs because no one took the banking jobs. And all of a sudden we come to America and we're, the ones with the banks or the doctors. And now we're like like the people in Hollywood because we, and all of a sudden it's like this huge stereotype and it's like, oh God, like, and I think a lot of it came from the propaganda and the stereotypes in Eastern Europe.
Did you find comfort being with other Jewish people at your high school? Like when you guys saw each other, was it like, girl, hey, or you were just happy to be right?
Oh, no. Yeah. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't a big deal unless maybe like a wedding was coming, a bar mitzvah was happening. Like you just knew. It's cool when you just get things, when things happen and you're like, oh, like understanding of things or having to explain stuff to people. There was a couple Jews in the theater department, but some of my close friends weren't Jewish. So I'd have to explain stuff to them, which I always enjoy doing anyway.
Right. So walk us through the theater department. So how do we get inside there? We're inside there.
Yeah.
Do we still have this disability, or you've mastered the disability a little bit? Are you still not reading scripts in high school?
Right. I tried very hard not to tell people about my disability. I tried hard not, I'd have to tell the teachers about it, but I hated telling people. And also in public school, everyone has their own thing going on too, and you're meeting other people with their own issues. And I was easily taught that, like, hey, keep, and the whole keep it to yourself thing, you shouldn't have to do, you should be able to express things and discuss things. But I think then if it didn't matter, don't bring it up. You don't have to bother people with it. And I kind of kept that for all of high school. I was like, oh, try not to bother people too much with that.
Did you notice when you were in theater, when you guys go over a play over and over and over again, that you probably just start picking up parts naturally?
Yes. I would. Yeah, I definitely, it was weird because with theater, we do 4 plays a year. And we would just constantly be going through things. And I fell in love with directing. I love directing. So like I did a lot of that. And then I did a lot of the acting and then the miming. It was a lot. It was all around a lot of theater. So and different types of theater and performing. And I think that's why I enjoyed stand-up, because it was just another type of performance that I enjoyed doing. Not so much just plain acting.
What was your defined role in high school when you were acting? What was that role, if you have to say in high school, this was the role that was me? When people look inside this book, it's like, man, that was Riley's role.
That was Riley's role. Do you know it's an old musical, but it's called Pippin.
Like Pippi Longstocking's Pippin?
No, No, it's Pippen. It's an old musical, and it's the
Hmm.
silliest thing ever. It is the weirdest. But I played the old grandma. I always played the grandma or the an older person, but she had to sing a song, and I remember I I took voice lessons, but I wasn't great. And I just remember they were like, Riley isn't the best singer,
Oh no.
sure can act. She sure can. They're like, Riley stole the show with that, even though she's not. And that's what I learned. Even if you're not good at one thing, if you confident, just go up there and do it, people are gonna love it. If you can take over that stage, I just remember people were like, were like, yeah, Riley's not that. Like, there were singers in that show. Like, people went on being on Broadway from that play. Like, people could sing. They casted me. They're like, Riley's not the best singer, but she sure can act out that part. I was like, you know what? This is how I feel with anything. This is how you're supposed to do it. Just be confident and own it.
So when you're acting, do you know, like when you're starting to apply for college, before we go apply to college, did you go to prom? Did you have a prom? Did you go there?
Yes. I went to prom with friends every year. I went to junior and senior year. Mm-hmm.
No high school boyfriend, no.
I had a high school boyfriend for 2 months freshman year, but he was a little wacky, Jared. All my friends were like, don't date him. And I did it. And it was not a great experience. And that was my first and last boyfriend ever. I haven't had a boyfriend since. I was like, I haven't had a relationship since. Cause I was like, not again. That was too much. So I went to prom with, senior prom. I went with my one of my best friends. He was like my gay best friend.
Was it fun? Did you guys tear the city up?
We had the best time. And then we went to in New Jersey. You go to the Jersey Shore.
Sure. Ooh, yeah.
You go to the Jersey Shore.
I watched a lot of shows about that place.
The Jersey Shore. Yes, we are that disgusting as the
I didn't understand it until I met a guy when I lived in Tampa. I lived in Orlando. He's from New Jersey. He goes, "These girls are from Jersey. They're dirty." I said, "Why would you say that?" He goes, "They're from the shore. They're trash." I was like, "What?"
Yep.
Trust me, dude. Let's keep going. I was like, "What?"
Your friend is 110% correct. I would call it. Cherry Hill was classier, but there was definitely towns and places you go down to the Jersey Shore, and you're like, "This is not
wild.
This is wild." It was fun though. That was a fun weekend.
So do y'all go to the shore and like ride rides, or you guys just going to the shore to chill?
You go to certain places to go on rides, but like Ocean City and all that. But we mostly went to the shore, went to tan, went to dinner, drank. But like my bubby had a shore house thing in Atlantic City.
Ooh.
So that was cool. That was very cool growing up. Mm-hmm.
So she would let you and all your girls come, or?
Yeah, as I got older, we got, friends could come down, or and it was weird seeing kind of the rise and fall of Atlantic City, because you saw like it went downhill pretty bad as I got older. You're like, ooh, this is not cute anymore.
It's not cute anymore.
Nope. But it was cool. It was good.
Did you have anxiety about taking the SAT or ACT?
Oh my God. Good. It was terrible. I hated that. I don't know how the SAT gave me so much anxiety. And at one point my mom was like, you know what, Riley, if the school wants you, like yeah. they'll have to look past. I got an audition for Pace University in the city. Mm-hmm. And my audition was one of the best auditions I ever had for anything. They made me do my monologue for their acting school. They're like, can you do a monologue? But in your monologue, can you pretend like you haven't eaten in 10 days? So you have to do I had to do a monologue like I was starving. So I had to do like, I had to be like, oh. So I started eating my folder that I brought in the room with me. Uh-huh. And at the end of the monologue, they were like this. Dude, And they called me later that day and they said, Riley, we want you in our acting program, but your SAT math scores are so low.
That's
They're like, can you retake your math SAT scores? I said, if I take my math SAT scores, they're going to be lower. What you want me to do? It was bad. SATs were, that was anxiety.
we still do that thing in society where you're judged on a test.
Right. I think it's the stupidest thing. I hate it. I think it's the most silliest thing.
Everyone has anxiety about testing, but to get into college, they want you to take a test. But to learn a trade, you don't really need to take a test. You're learning a skill.
I think it's, if my kids are like, I don't want to go to college, I'm gonna be like, okay, let's discuss what we're gonna do. But I do not like that whole system. I think it's.
I was jealous of the twins in my school because they used to cheat on it. They used to cheat and switch tests.
What?
Yeah, we had in my school. They would take their SAT, and then as soon as we go to the bathroom, they would switch tests. And I was like, well, let me switch mine with y'all. Somebody needs to do my math. I was always good at math. I didn't like the reading part of the.
Good at math? Wow. That's very impressive.
Didn't like the reading part. Because I'd be reading. I was like, where the freak am I? What is the story about it?
Right.
I remember some questions like she stole a glance. I had to write a sentence about it. And I was like, stealing's not good. Everything else, if he's stealing glances, until I realized, like, oh, freak, he's talking about stealing a look. I was
dying.
I wrote a whole paragraph about what it's like to steal and stealing glances, how she felt uncomfortable.
And you just wrote a whole thing about something. I've done that before, and I started writing at the end of all my essays in college. I'm so sorry. Like, I hope you enjoy this. It may not be what you want. Like, smiley face. Like, Riley. Like, I would write little disclaimers.
The football players always had special tests, so I would take their tests, and all the answers would be D.
Oh, whoa. Oh, see, that's just,
They would pass out a test, and then they're like, hey, Waters is walking on the team, passing that test. Then I look, I was like, all the answers are D. Shh. Yeah, super easy.
Whoa.
All the answers are D. They've had these different athlete classes. So you'd have to go talk to this advisor, and she would put you in these special classes.
Stop it.
No, yeah. So either the answers like D, A, B, and there's questions like, how do you feel at the end of this test? Great.
Wow.
I got my GPA super up when I was over there taking those athlete classes.
That's awesome. Shit. Wow.
So what college did you pick?
I had this one school in mind, Muhlenberg in Pennsylvania, and it was like it kind of reminded me of my Jewish private school. That's why I liked it so much. And it was very hard to get into. And I would stalk them. I would call them every day. I would email them every day. I visited them all the time. And finally, I remember the dean called me. He's like, Riley, you're in. Like, because I would stalk them. I wanted to go there so badly. He's like, you're in. And as soon as I got in, I got accepted to the Hart School, University of Hartford in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an amazing acting program, BFA, only like 50 people get in. Our class size was 10 people. Like, it's a small conservatory. And I remember being like, I have to go here. Like, this is so I had to say no to Muhlenberg. I remember my dad being like, really?
Are they sad that you're leaving, going from a different, you're going kind of far. Connecticut, is that far from New Jersey?
It's about 4-hour drive from Philly, like South Jersey to Connecticut. It's about 4 hours. I just got diagnosed with celiac disease. They thought senior year, they thought
celiac. What's that?
Celiac. So senior year, I was all through high school. I was getting very sick. I was like throwing up after eating. I was always in bed all the time. My hair was falling out. I was getting nosebleeds. I was getting all these things, and I was had stomach issues as a kid. And they thought, I remember my stomach doctor thought I either had Crohn's or stomach cancer because it was that bad. And then senior year, I got endoscopy, and they got the camera down my throat, and I had 39 ulcers, like up and down my esophagus. And they're like, this is not normal. So they're like, you have to go, you're celiac. They said you have celiac disease. I was like, what is that? And they said, you have to eat gluten-free. Now, Jared, nobody knew what gluten was 12 years ago. No one knew what it was. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like, people, I would go to restaurants and I'd be like, do you have gluten free? And they're like, what's gluten? And like, all I ate was like rice cakes and like, so I've been gluten free for about 11, 12 years. And so when people are like gluten free now, I was like, okay, I was the OG. I started
Original one, yeah. Original allergy.
right. So I was a little like, but when I went to college, my mom, I remember, was very nervous because she was like, I just had started feeling better. And my mom was like, what if something happens?
Mm.
And we had some deaths in our family. And my mom was like, is this too far? I'm like, no, I got to get out. I was like, I got to go. So Connecticut it was at the time very good.
How did those deaths impact you? Like, did anyone die close to you? Was it?
It was my cousin, my oldest cousin on my mom's side.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the boys, his name is Matthew. He was in Afghanistan at the time. He's in the army.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a very like sudden death. And his dad, my uncle, had passed away a couple years before that. So it was like a very strange, because like he was 29, and I think when someone passes that early and that fast out of nowhere, and you're not with them because he was so far, it didn't feel real for a while. And I think going to college with a newly diagnosed like thing I had to deal with, and then also trying to mourn a very close family member, was a very strange mix. And I think I had to be, I was like, everything's fine, everything's good. But at night, I would just be like, it would just be sad. But I was very good at being like, everything's good, everything's fine.
Did you notice that you say you don't like being alone, but that's where you have, is it because that's where you start thinking about all the things
Mm-hmm.
that you're dealing with?
I 100% think that I'm the type of person that as soon as I get alone, I start to just imagine things that aren't there, stress about certain things. And it's like this quarantine, I was very good at putting those memories and making them into good memories instead of being like sad about certain things. I was like, okay, Riley, if you're gonna have all this time alone, let's think about how you can make it happier or the better time. Like, you're not making it sad or making it into anxiety. Yeah.
Do you ever wonder about your body? Do you think sometimes that your body, did you ever wonder, like, why is my body doing this? Were you upset at anything?
Yeah, I think I was always kind of mad at my body for a long time. With the celiac, I was always mad that I was constantly feeling sick all the time. And then I was also, as a kid, what was wrong with me was my body as well. Like, oh, I can't understand things. I can't process things. I always felt like a burden between that growing up, and then all of a sudden I'm going to college and I have to eat a certain way. So
Mm.
now I'm a burden on my friends again. Like, when I go out to eat, am I going to be annoying? I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to be the one being different. And all of a sudden I was the only Jewish person in my acting class. So again, they had classes on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Well, I don't want to be the annoying one wanting to go to synagogue, but I should go to class. So I always kind of felt a little bit like an extra burden. And then as I realized, you get older and everyone has their own burdens. And I always felt like I was oh, I can't say that because it might annoy them, or I can't say that because I might bring down the mood. It's like, no, we all have stuff. But as a kid and as, a teenager, and then you're going to college, you want to fit in. So I think I was very angry at my body and what was happening at the time. Yeah.
So who is your Riley? You're
Ooh.
the one always helping everyone else. You're the one cheering people up. But who is the Riley for you? Who's the one that cheers you up? Who's the one that makes you say it's all right, it's okay to be who you are? Who's that person in your life? Or have
Um,
you found that person yet?
for most of my life, and I know we discussed this, but I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful to say it's my family.
Mm.
Um, my brother, you know, my mom and my dad, my mom especially, has always been my biggest cheerleader. But as I've gotten older, I've realized my brother is someone who, he doesn't complain when things are bad. He doesn't say poor me when things are bad. And he's been through his own, you know, things. And I see that and I'm like, I don't have to be mad at my body. I don't have to feel bad for myself. I can be confident. I can be happy with the better parts. I can use that and be confident. And I think I see him and he's that for me. He's my Riley. He's the one that he's the person I can look at and be like, I can be confident in my own body, even if other things are happening, and still be smiling and still go on with my life. Because he does that. And I'm very impressed by how he does it. So definitely my brother.
As you guys get closer throughout the years, when do you guys start like bonding? When do you guys become that PB and J?
I love that. I think when I was little, I would get very distressed and sad about things, and I would like throw little tantrums, or I'd get like angry. And instead of my parents, like my mom would yell and be like, "Stop crying," whatever. But I would go up in my room, shut the door. My mom would send my brother upstairs. My mom would be like, Logan, go upstairs, check on her sister. And my brother would come in, he'd sit on my bed. He goes, Riley, I want you to take it from here to here. Okay. And he was 2 years younger than me. Like he was 6. He'd be 6 and he'd be like, Riley, why are you crying? There's no need to be crying. I was like,
he's your little big brother.
He's my little big brother. And he like, there was parts in life that I had to take care of him. And he let me. And there's parts in life that he took care of me, and he did it without any he just did it because there's love there, you know? And I'm very, it's love that you don't have to say, I love you all the time, or I don't have to see him all the time to know that he cares about me. And I think that's the best type of love, that unconditional love, that someone's there for you and you don't even have to see them to know that.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we're in college now. You get this new diagnosis, you're dealing with your cousin passing away, and we're acting. When does it start to become fun? Like when do you start feeling your groove of just like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life?
It's strange because acting school, a lot of them will do this, kind of knock you down big time. I lost all my confidence the first, maybe the whole 4 years. I might have lost it. It was over. I was not confident. I was second guessing myself the whole time. I think because I'm bad in education places, learning places. I'm very bad. I'm not good at learning. I hate sitting, and I hate having to take a test on Shakespeare. I hated it. I was like, this is terrible. Until I went to England junior year and studied Shakespeare abroad. That's when I think my confidence picked back up again.
You went to that little hut that he has, right? It looks like a turtle shell. Yeah, me and my lady went there. I said, these guys are great.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, we went to the Globe. We stayed in Birmingham, England for about 8 weeks.
So what was that? Was that just a newfound confidence that you had after that? Do you feel like their acting is different? Because everyone likes British actors.
Right? I think it was the teachers. The teachers there were, like I always got yelled at in my college for my voice, because I have a very strange, a very strange voice sometimes. And I remember going to England, and our voice teacher in England, I apologized. I was like, I'm sorry, my voice is kind of strange. She's like, Riley, your voice is so unique. She goes, you could make millions off of voice acting one day. I was like, no one has even said to me, you got a unique voice. Instead, they were like, you have to change it. Right. So instead of, they want to kind of cookie cutter way, some of them, but in England, it was, some of those teachers were very, very, it's just inspiring. That was like, oh, I can be like that. That's cool. Okay, I like that. And I liked how they taught. It was like a lot of hands-on, which I enjoy.
It gave you the confidence that you needed at the time.
Yes.
What
100%.
about the people you met in England? Who was the people that you met in England? These like life-lasting friendships, meeting these Brits.
So wait, I downloaded Tinder.
What year is this? What year are we in?
This is 2014.
Oh, that's when Tinder first came out.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was pretty 2014, 2015. We all were very bored because they stuck us. There was 10 actors. They stuck us in a Christian missionary.
Oh gosh.
So like 10 horny 21-year-old actors in a Christian. It was terrible. I was like, this is the worst place they could have put us in. But we all downloaded Tinder because we were bored. And the first date I went on was this guy named Rob. And I still talk to him now and then. Rob and I went on a date. And I will always remember this. We went out to eat. We went for coffee. And in the first 10 minutes, he said to me, do you do stand-up? And I went, I don't really know stand-up that well. He's like, you should look into it. I will remember that the rest of my life. As soon as he said you should look into stand-up, he was the one that honestly pushed me to try stand-up.
Was he a comedian? What was he?
No, he was just like a normal human. Like he studied normal stuff in college. Like he's like, I think you're hysterical. I'm like, what? I was like, who are you? He's like, I think you should look into it. When I got back to the States, I remember he would message me all the time being like, have you done stand-up yet?
Wow.
I was like, oh my God. And I tried stand-up once senior year at this cabaret, and then I hadn't done it ever again till January of 2017 when I moved to New York. But this was senior year in college. I did one time, and I was like, I guess I'll try it. And it went so well. And he was like, I told you. He was like, when you go to New York, you should do stand-up. I was like, I'm an actor. He's like, I know, but you should do it. I honestly, that year, that's 8 weeks in England was the best thing that ever could have happened to me.
Wow, it changed your life, really.
Yep.
Rob is British, dude.
Such a handsome British man. I love him. I tell him all the time, I'm like, I'll literally come to England and marry you. But he's like, okay.
How long did you guys date for?
We never really dated. We were very good friends and we still talk here and there. I asked him how he was doing with Corona, and we talk here and whatever, but we would talk on and off for a long time, for like 3-4 years.
I wonder, I noticed this about actresses. This might be a stereotype because you guys do roles, and then after the roles, you're done. Most actors, all I know, are always in short-term relationships. I never noticed them in long-term relationships at all until they became famous.
Interesting. I'm very, I don't like this about myself, but I feel like I get distracted easily. And I don't know if I have never done a boyfriend type of thing. I feel like I could maybe be good at it, a relationship, but I was always so like focused on career. I'm not saying like, I know a lot of my good friends, you as well, can do a career and have a great relationship. I've never had that. I would love to try to have one. I don't know. I still can't pick the guys. I don't know. But I would love to have one in the future.
Best stories about guys. The best stories. Me and my lady were laughing at the story I told her during the virus. I was like, let me tell you what my friend said. She goes, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know how to pick them. I know how to pick them.
That's what my grandfather said. Boy, you sure know how to pick them, don't you, boy? Yes, sir.
That's what my bubby said, the same way.
So we're in England. We're at England 2014. You got the confidence, and now you got the spark to do stand-up. So when you finish college, what makes you say I'm going to go to New York instead of California?
I love theater. I think I wanted to do theater a little bit more than film at the time, and I knew New York was mostly based in theater. My best friend Kristen wanted to move to New York as well. So that summer, I worked in her parents. So her parents own a soul food restaurant in Connecticut.
Right.
And then attached was an ice cream shop. So I would work in the ice cream shop with my best friend. And then that October, we moved to New York, and she's also an actress. So we both were actors in New York. And then that January, I did UCB improv.
Oh, how was that?
And that was my mom, because I got one commercial in the beginning, and then I would audition, and it was so hard. And I remember wanting to do something. My mom's like, just go do improv. And I remember Rob being like, have you done stand-up yet? When I went into UCB, they had an open mic night. Mm-hmm. And I was like, maybe I'll try it. And I tried the stand-up, and I loved it. And then a week later, I met Allie Colbert, who's a comedian. Mm-hmm. And she's like, in a month, if you have 5 minutes, I'll get you a show. And that happened in the span of like a month of starting stand-up. I was like, oh, I think I like this. But that's how I moved in October, started UCB in January, and started stand-up February.
Did you know in stand-up, did you try to fit in, or do you notice in stand-up it's better to stand out? Do you notice that?
It's strange because it reminds me a little bit of school sometimes, where fitting in is good in a way because you get along with people. Same thing with theater. If people enjoy working with you, they'll put you on shows. They'll book you in the theater. They'll put you on a show. They'll be like, oh, that person was good. I'm gonna put them in a movie. I liked working with them. I think fitting in, I think is not a great. I think it's cool to fit in, but I think it's better to be able to be easy to work with people, but at the same time stand out, because I think that's what we're doing this for, to stand out. Right. But I think being able to work with people and be able to hang out with people and talk to people like this, I think is so important.
So when we get into stand-up, we're starting to do that. What do your parents say about this? What is everyone saying back at home? Like, wow, you really own this pony.
Yeah, it's weird. They all were like, yeah, we get it. This makes sense. All of them were like, oh, this makes sense with Riley. Like when I told my parents, they were like, so is it like they were a little confused at first, but it was weird. Everybody was on board. And I don't know if it's because my brother is going to take over my family business. So okay, we got one out of the way. Let her chase her dreams. But they all were on board. Both my family in Michigan, my family in Jersey and Philly. Everybody was like, this makes sense.
It's entertainment, like you're a performer.
Right. They always knew I was. Yeah, they always were like, yeah, Riley's a performer. This honestly kind of makes sense.
As your dad being a dentist, what was that like, seeing him being in a respectable position in the community?
It's strange because, the guys that I like and I kind of date are like not respectful. Like they're not at all. I'm like, I'm supposed to go with people who, because for years and now I respect my father so much and what he does for the family, what he does for the business. I would love to marry someone like my father, the way he is with me and my brother. The way people I worked for my dad a lot as a kid in the summers. Mm-hmm. I would help out at his office. I would do the bills. I would clean. I would make teeth models, like all the time. And I would always see my dad working, and people would always be like, your father is amazing. He's helped me so much. And it's like, people hate the dentist. People hate it. People do not like, yes, people, but they would always be like, we are so grateful for him. So, I'm very grateful for that. And I remember senior year of college, I was helping the office during spring break, and I was working in the back, and I heard a patient say to my dad, you're really letting your daughter be an actor? Like, you really think that's smart? Like, he was telling this to my father. And I remember being in the back room being like, what's my dad going to say? And my dad's like, yes, she's going to be an actor. I have full confidence in my daughter. I was like, what? And he's like, oh, okay, Dr. Lassin, good for you.
That's good. The
So
confidence that you have, that you are like very loved. That's
mhm.
amazing that you're surrounded by love. What about your mom? Your mom was mom same way?
Yeah, my mom is actually an artist,
Oh,
and she went to Carnegie Mellon for art. Um, she did at a very young age. She is incredibly talented, and same with my brother. He went to dentistry, but he is the most beautiful artist. He can sculpt, he can paint and draw. And so when I wanted to go for a BFA in acting, my family wanted me to go to a BA, and a BA is a lot of like people who want to teach acting and
oh,
it's more educational, which is not bad too. There are very good actors with BAs, but a BFA is like conservatory, like acting 24/7. And I wanted a BFA, but my family was like, maybe you should go for a BA. But my mom was like, no, she needs a BFA, like she needs
put
to be
all in,
acting.
10 toes down.
Yeah, she was like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it. And my mom and my dad both said, Riley, there's no plan B, there's only plan A.
Oh, I love that.
So, which is that they've always said that my whole life. I was like, well, what if,
Say that
yeah.
again for the people.
Hmm?
Say that again for the people.
Oh, yeah. But so my parents always said, there's never plan B, only a plan A.
Wow.
Always. And that's how I feel like I've kind of always kind of been leading my life with that. Like people would be like, well, don't you want to like do something? How about you go for a hygiene school? So in case acting fails, you can be a hygienist.
Yeah.
My mom's like, no, you're going to put all your efforts into this and see what you can do. Because she's like, if you do full potential with anything, you can get far. If you work hard, stay focused, she goes, something's going to come out of it. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm very blessed with the support. I'm very, 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 very grateful.
Okay. We're at the hilltop question, but before we go that, I want to ask you 5 questions. And before we get to the main questions, these 5 questions is, what's your best moment? What's a good moment, a good time that you can remember in stand-up? What's the worst time you remember inside stand-up? What's the memory that you'll never forget? And who are the people that impacted you on your career, your stand-up career?
Oh my
Let me
goodness.
ask that again. I forgot.
Okay. The first one was the best one, right?
Best moment in stand-up or acting in general or in the business.
I think the best moment was the last time I did comedy for my bubby. Um, I was doing a guest spot at a show in New Jersey. I believe Matthew Broussard was headlining. I believe that was the show. And Kevin Hurley was hosting. And my bubby was in the audience. And I remember I did a lot of crowd work. And this guy in the front row says something very sexual or something. I was going back and forth with him. And I said, you want to mess with me? My bubby's sitting right there. And she screamed, she goes, yeah, you want to mess with me, Buster? Like, and she screamed in the back of the room. And the whole audience just went like, woo, Bubby. And I remember being like, she is the person that has gotten me up there and with this confidence and feeling good. And I just remember that was the last time. She passed away 2 months later.
Wow.
And I remember being like, I'm so grateful for that moment. So yeah, that's the best, I think. That's the best.
Did you guys ever have closure? Did she pass away as old age, or was it sudden, or?
It was sudden. It was sudden, but it was strange because 2 weeks before she passed, it was my dad's birthday, and I went down to Jersey to see them, and I walked her inside her house. She'd always be like, walk me in after dinner. I walked her in, and she grabbed my face. She goes, I remember she was like, Riley, stay healthy. Okay. Love yourself. I love you. Like she said the message, like I was like, Bobby, I'll see you in a couple months. What are you talking? But the way she said it was like, take care of yourself. And I'll always remember that. So yeah, I feel like she knew, you know what I mean? I feel like your body knows.
Some people know their day.
Yeah. It's weird. I think she knew something was up.
Your worst moment in the business?
No, my worst moment. um, it's so strange because I've had, we've had bombs, we've had shows where we're like, oh no. But I remember I had a week of bombing. It was just a week. It's a week of bombing. And I had a spot at Broadway Comedy Club, 11 o'clock show. And I remember D. Thompson, we drove there, and I think Kyle Pennant was there. A bunch of people were there, and I bombed so badly on stage. And that, when you're bombing, and I got off stage and I was so mad at myself. I was so angry. I remember being like, am I going to get out of this rut? I just remember being like, I know what I need to do to fix this, but why am I not doing it? I remember Andre said to me afterwards, he goes, you know what you have to do it. Being like, you're right. I have to just do it. When you're just like in your like, you're like, I was like, do I like being in this like sadness? Why do I was so angry. He goes, stop being angry and just do it. You know what you have to do. And I'm like, you're right. I do.
What's the moment you'll never forget?
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to it might have been maybe coming back after quarantine and doing my first show in front of people. I remember being so excited and so scared at the same time, but it was a different type of scared. It wasn't our usual scared. It was like, I hope I still have this love for this, like going on stage being like, I hope I don't fail because this is all I want. And this is all, you know what I mean? So I think I'll never forget that feeling of being like, I hope I still have it. I hope I still got it. I hope I still want this after doing this set in front of these people I haven't done in 4 months.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And who are those people in your comedy career? Those are your people that you lean on. Who are those comics that were there for you, your influences? Because everyone has like their classic comics that were there when they were down and out, the ones that encouraged them. Who are those people that lifted you up when you needed that?
I really think, I've had amazing conversations with so many comics, beautiful conversations that you're just like, where you don't mean to have, but you start talking after shows. But I have to say, my good buddy Andre Thompson has gotten me out of weird ruts, and not by being like, oh, it's okay, oh, don't worry about it, he'll be honest. And I think honestly in this career you need someone to be like, give you the honest truth about things. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful that I met someone like that is honest and willing to share knowledge. And so I think in all of this, Andre is a person that, has given me very, very good criticism and comedy knowledge that I'm very glad I have now.
That's your Riley.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, we called it back. That's a callback.
That's a callback. That's sweet. Oh, yeah.
That's your Riley. Everyone needs one.
Yeah. But he's definitely been, some great criticism. So, yeah.
It's like a family. It's like a family. I feel like anytime like you post something, like I feel that like when you educated me about when you talked about that the disease you made a post about. I'm like, frick, I never F.
You see it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now you're just like, we're like so invested into like each other. Like, no, let's make sure that she feels that love. You know what I mean? Like we're all in this together. F it,
Amen. I 100% agree. 100%.
Now here we go. This is called the Hilltop questions, right? Now you can answer these however you want them. It could be long. It could be short. It could be, right? Here we go.
Okay.
Question number 1. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Who's your favorite person in the Torah?
Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Yeah.
She was, I think, one of the strongest women in the Torah. I think, birthing a kid so late, the love she had for Abraham. I think she just is a beautiful woman in the Bible, and I connect a lot with her. So I think Sarah is my favorite.
Do you have a favorite verse in your Torah?
My bat mitzvah, not my Torah reading, but my I forget what it's called. Oh, I'm gonna get so mad I don't remember. But it was talking about bringing water to the camel, and bringing the camel to the water, and I think that's a beautiful verse. I'm trying to remember, but that's one of my favorite. I'm trying to remember the verse, but I forget.
Shout out to our Torah readers out there. Shout out to them.
Right, all the Torah readers.
When's the last time you had a nightmare?
Oh my goodness, last night.
What was that about?
I had a dream that there were spiders on the wall, and I couldn't get out of my room. And they were just congregating, and I thought they were talking about, like, they were just they were clicky spiders.
When's the last time you had a panic attack?
I think it might have been 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
What was that about? For what?
The world. Yeah. I think I read the news too much, and I think it got to me.
What's your biggest fear on this earth?
My parents dying. I think my parents or my brother getting sick or dying. That scares me.
Do you believe in soulmates?
I do, in a way, yes.
All right, now this is a series of questions, right? Now this is what's going to happen. I'm going to say, who are you? And the goal is to go beyond yourself, right? So like, if you ask me, who are you? I'm going to say Jared Waters. And then you're going to keep asking me the question. I was like, stand-up comedian. And I'm just going to keep saying it until you stop.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Who are you?
Riley Lassin.
Who are you?
An actor.
Who are you?
A comedian.
Who are you?
A friend.
Who are you?
I'm a daughter.
Who are you?
A sister.
Who are you?
A girlfriend.
Who are you?
A best friend.
Who are you?
A confidant.
Who are you?
A believer.
Who are you?
A lover.
Who are you?
A soulmate.
When it's all said and done and someone has a book, right, and they give you the Riley Lassin story, what would you want them to say about you?
That I made an impact on their life, that I've made their life better in a way. I've impacted their life for good and not bad. And I've brought positivity and laughter in their life, something good. I've only wanted to impact positivity in someone's life. So yeah, that's.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jared Waters. This is the podcast, One Man, One Tree in the Hill. This is Riley. Riley, how can the people find you?
You can find me at Riley Lassin on Instagram, Twitter, all that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Hey, you're live on the podcast, One Man, One Tree in the Hill. Say what up to the people. Now, this is when I see black excellence. It's Kenan Thompson, and I see this giant butt. I'm like, oh, who is that? Turns out that's Questlove. It's Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy. And they're all sitting at the table, and I walk up to Eddie Murphy, and I was like, hey, Mr. Murphy, I just want to say you're the GOAT, man. You're the coldest that ever walked the face of the earth. You gotta break that thing over. She wants it private, but y'all not even together right now.
So we haven't spoken about anything but the cat for at least 2 months.
I said, and I'm be the next Jamar Neighbors. Yeah. And she was up like, I know that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. My name is Jared Waters, and I'll catch you next time. Like, subscribe, rate the podcast. Have a wonderful night, wonderful day, whatever you're listening to. I'll see you soon.